The air was heavy with tension that day in Washington, the kind of tension you could feel even before a single word was spoken. The room was packed, the cameras were rolling, and millions across the nation were already tuning in. At the center of it all sat Senator John Kennedy, a man whose sharp wit and calm Southern drawl often concealed the razor-sharp mind behind it. Across from him was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the most recognized and polarizing figures in Congress. For years, Oc had built her career on fiery speeches, social media battles, and headline-grabbing moments, but this time, something felt different. Kennedy leaned forward, his papers neatly stacked before him, and with that slow, deliberate voice he was known for, he began not with insults, not with personal attacks, but with questions. Simple, precise, and devastating questions. "Congresswoman," he said softly, "can you explain exactly how your proposal helps the people who are struggling right now, and not in theory, not in slogans, but in real, measurable ways?" The room grew still. Oc smiled confidently at first, launching into familiar talking points, but Kennedy didn't let her drift into abstractions. He pressed again, cutting through the rhetoric with patience and persistence. Piece by piece, like a master chess player, he dismantled every claim she made. When she spoke about saving money, he showed the real numbers that proved otherwise. When she promised jobs, he read testimonies from small business owners who said her policies would force them to close their doors. When she claimed to stand for working families, Kennedy gently, but firmly, pointed out the struggling parents in his own state who couldn't afford the increased taxes her ideas demanded. The cameras caught it all. The look on Oc's face shifted from confidence to hesitation, then to frustration. For years she had been celebrated for her ability to dominate debates, to capture viral clips and sound bites. But this wasn't Twitter. This was reality, laid bare in front of the American people. And John Kennedy was not an opponent who could be silenced with theatrics. What made the moment powerful wasn't just the facts Kennedy presented up, it was the way he delivered them. Calm, respectful, almost fatherly. He never raised his voice, he never mocked. He simply spoke the truth with such clarity that it became undeniable. Viewers watching from home felt it. They saw through the noise. They realized that behind all the slogans and hashtags, the foundation of Oc's arguments was crumbling. The media tried to spin it, but the clips went viral. Millions shared the footage online, calling it the moment that exposed the emptiness behind years of political showmanship. People who had never paid much attention to politics before began asking hard questions. Why hadn't anyone challenged her so directly before? Why had they let flashy speeches overshadow the real issues that families were facing every day? For Kennedy, it wasn't about personal victory. He wasn't trying to humiliate anyone. He was fighting for something much bigger, for the single mother in Louisiana trying to put food on the table, for the small business owners struggling to keep employees paid, for the farmers who felt ignored by the very people claiming to represent them. He saw through the performance, and he gave a voice to those who had been left out of the conversation for too long. In the days that followed, commentators declared that Kennedy had delivered a career-ending blow. Oc's reputation as a rising star had taken a devastating hit. Her supporters tried to rally, but the moment was too raw, too clear, too undeniable. Piece by piece, her arguments had been broken down before the eyes of the nation. And piece by piece, John Kennedy had reminded America what true leadership looks like. He not shouting the loudest, not chasing headlines, but speaking the truth with conviction and heart. But the story didn't end there. For countless viewers, the moment sparked something deeper. It was a reminder that no one, no matter how powerful, should go unchallenged when real lives are at stake. It was a call for accountability, for honesty, for leaders who care more about people than platforms. Kennedy's calm dismantling of political theater was more than just a debate. It was a lesson in courage, in integrity, and in the power of truth spoken plainly. And perhaps the greatest impact wasn't on Eck at all. It was on the Americans who watched that day, who felt seen and heard, who realized they weren't forgotten. It was on the young men and women who decided that maybe politics didn't have to be about noise and division, and that maybe, just maybe, there was still room for honesty, for decency, for leaders who fought not for themselves, but for the people they served. When history looks back on that moment, it won't just remember the end of a political career. It will remember the night John Kennedy reminded America of what politics could do when truth is spoken without fear. And that, more than anything, was the real victory.